Hello friends, in this video we're going to implement variable jump height to our player controller. Currently inside of the game we only have a single jump height. So even if we hold down the spacebar or even if we tap the spacebar, we jump the same height. What we're going to do is we're going to only jump a little when we tap the spacebar, and then we're going to do a normal jump when we hold the spacebar down for a longer amount of time. So because there's time involved with this, we're going to create a timer, and we're going to start the timer when we press the spacebar. And if the timer times out, when the timer times out, if the spacebar is not being pressed, then we're going to turn this into a short jump. But if the spacebar is still being pressed after the timer times out, we're going to go ahead and do a normal jump. So the way this is going to work is we're going to do a normal jump, and like I said, if the spacebar is released when the timer times out, we're going to turn it into a short jump. Okay, so let's go ahead and start implementing this. Inside of the player scene, let's go ahead and create a new timer, which is going to be the jump height, let's say, jump height timer. This is going to be very short, so the wait time is going to be something like 0.15 seconds, and it's also going to be one shot. Let's create a reference to this right here. Jump height timer. I'm also going to connect the timeout signal. A lot of these different mechanics have to do with timers, which is interesting. We had to create one for coyote time, for jump buffering, and now for the variable jump height. Okay. So like I said, what we want to do is we want to start this timer when the spacebar is pressed. Right here. So we'll say jump height timer.start. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and do a normal jump. So you might have thought that we're going to do a small jump, and then if the spacebar is pressed for longer, we're going to turn that into a big jump. But like I said, it's the opposite. We're going to do a normal jump, and if the spacebar is released early, we're going to turn that into a shorter jump. So let's go to the timeout function right here. And when the timer times out, we're going to check if the spacebar is still being held down or not. So we're going to say if not, input is action pressed, jump. So if the spacebar isn't being pressed anymore, and else, in the else case, we're just going to say high jump. And we don't need to do anything else because the spacebar is still being held down even after the timer timed out. So in that case, just go ahead and do the normal jump. But in the case that the spacebar is released after the timer times out, we're going to go ahead and turn this into a smaller jump. Doing that is going to be very simple. We simply need to set the velocity.y to be 0 to stop the jump and let the player fall down, and gravity is going to take care of that. But we only have to do this, we should only do this if velocity.y is less than 0, meaning we're going up. Okay, so we can go ahead and test this. This is going to work, but it's not going to look good because we're setting this to 0, and that's going to suddenly stop the player while it's going up, and that's not going to look very good. So nonetheless, let's take a look at what this looks like. I'm going to do a normal jump first, so I'm going to hold down the spacebar. And as you can see, that does a high jump, but if I tap it, as you can see, that's going to do a low jump or small jump. And the time frame here is determined by the wait time of the jump height timer. So after I press the spacebar, if I take my finger off from the spacebar, during those 0.15 seconds, that's going to be a small jump, but if I keep it down, it's going to turn into a high jump. So let's also print low jump here, just like that. And like I said, let's take a look at that again. When we do the low jump, it looks very rigid and abrupt when we start falling down. I don't like that, so in order to make that a little bit smoother, instead of using 0 here, we're going to use a number like 100, which is a number I tested and it looks good. But you can also do something like -80, 90. You can play with this to see the number that you like. The important thing here is we're setting the y velocity to be something that's less than what it is currently. And usually when this happens, when this if statement takes into effect, it's usually in the range of -200. So setting it to be -100 should, stop the jump just like 0, but it's going to do it in a more smooth way, like I said. Okay, hopefully that's all clear. Let's take a look at this again. I'm going to do a small jump or a low jump, and as you can see, it's much smoother. Let's also do a big one, just like that. And with the big jump, we should be able to make it to the top of this box, but with the small one, we shouldn't be able to, as you can see. And everything else that we built, like the coyote jump and the jump buffering, should also be working with this. So for example, if I'm holding it down, I can do a high jump with jump buffering, as you can see. But I can also do a small jump with jump buffering. And same with the coyote jump. That was a low jump with the coyote jump, and that's a high jump with the coyote jump. As you can see, everything is working just fine. And now we have a very good, very, nice character controller that has a lot of features. And you can take this and basically turn it into your own platformer game if that's what you want to do. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. This is how to do variable jump heights in Godot 4 for your 2D platformer controller. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.